Welcome to the full review on the Pivot Trailcat SL. This bike has been so rad, and right off the bat I just want to say thank you to Pivot for sending this out to me. Really appreciate that. They are super rad to work with, and they make some rad bikes, so let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to Dialed MVB. Here we are with the long-term review of the Pivot Trailcat SL. Let's start off with the build spec and a little sip of the beer to get things started. So let's start at the back of the bike over here real quick. This bike is the XX transmission build. So obviously you've got the XX transmission. That's a no-brainer. And you've got the RockShox Access wireless dropper post, the bougiest of the bougie. Yeah, Fox has one now too, but they're the original ones, so you gotta give it to them. And then you've got this factory Fox Float DPS rear shock, and then up front you got this Fox Factory 34 with the Grip X2, which that is a key feature of this bike. The front end is so good with that Grip X2. Yes, I think it's about a half a pound heavier or so, plus or minus a few grams, but that is massive for the capabilities of this bike. One of the key features that I talk about so many times on bikes is this SRAM Maven brakes. I talk about brakes a lot of times on trail bikes, talking about how, man, I wish it really had a little bit more. A lot of times you see like those things are starting to change with SRAM's new brakes that are coming out, but you saw SRAM G2s, or you saw just or two piston brakes or whatever. They're just trying to make things lightweight. And these trail bikes are getting so capable these days that you need a lot more strength for brakes. And so Pivot's idea, hey, let's give them the strongest brakes on the market. Why not that? Okay, yeah, perfect. And that is completely fine with me. Overkill? Maybe. Is it going to make most people happy? 100%. So super rad for Pivot to do that. All right, so like I was talking about with the specs when I was going through the bike, this bike, everything is just so balanced. Like the entire spec, you can tell the people designing this all want the best bike for themselves, for the customers, and just all of that. All right, now let's go to what's touching the ground. Let's start with the wheels. I know those shouldn't be touching the ground. The rims, I guess, whatever you want to call it. Wheel set. Reynolds Black Label wheels with the Industry 9 hubs. I believe it's a Hydra hub. It looks a little bit different, but I believe it is the Hydra. And I mean, it sounds like one. It is. It is an amazing hub. I love it so much. The wheels are super lightweight. They're great. And then let's go to the tires. I love the spec that Pivot put on the tires, and this kind of shows you that the people at Pivot are riders. They're not just trying to fit specific money into a box to make it work for their specific build, to meet a number. They put on there what they want, and then I'm assuming they just adjust the price accordingly. So first off, a DHR2 up front, which a lot of people think that's a rear tire, but it is one of the best Maxxis front tires in my opinion. And then dissector out back, 2.4 inch front and rear. You can't complain with that spec on a trail bike. So it's really cool that they're just speccing bikes the way that they'd want to ride them, because that's how I want to ride them, and that's how probably you want to ride them also. Like, I'm not saying you have to ride them like this. Let's talk about price real quick. This is a $11,099 bike. So this is $11,100. So you're spending a lot of money. And the coolest thing is that you buy this bike and you don't have to change a thing on it. There's so many bikes that even in this price range, or $9,000 or $8,000, that you have to change wheels or you have to change this or that, and things just aren't that comfortable. So props to Pivot. Love what they've done with this. Love the spec that they've done. All right, let's talk about climbing real quick. We're gonna just do a little bit on the bike and then mostly off the bike, but we're really not gonna spend that much time on it overall. It's pretty simple with this bike. The climbing is great. It has one of the most supportive rear ends with this DW Link suspension out of any bike that's in 120 to 140 mil rear travel. There's never been a thought of like locking out. I have tried it just to see, just because you gotta try it all to give the review, you know, but there's no reason for that at all, besides maybe on a paved road, and not even like a gravel road, just a paved road. So that just kind of speaks to this bike. No, it is not the lightest. It's a fast climber, not the fastest climber in the class. There's other 120 millimeter bikes that are faster climbers. They're probably not as comfortable, because climbing on this bike is one of the most comfortable bikes to climb on, with the seat tube angle and everything just working really good. So with that, it's just overall a really, really good climber. I've got to ride some technical climbs in Colorado and did those so well. And it's not gonna be as rocky as Arizona, where Pivot's from, but I could just imagine how much better this bike would be than other bikes in its class at climbing on rocky technical terrain. It's pretty rad. So overall, very impressed with the climbing. The linkage system is amazing. I really wish that I could ride the long travel option, the 135, 150. This one's 120, 140, and just compare, because I don't think you'd be losing that much like climbing capabilities going to that longer travel bike. And with how well this thing descends, it would be pretty rad to see what that thing could do. Yeah, so let's just wrap the climbing up. I already spent longer than what I wanted to, but it's just really good. So let's get on to some more fun stuff and get on with this. All right, so I was able to get over to Washington for a trip on this Pivot Trailcat SL. I'm up at Galbraith, and man, this bike is just about the perfect bike for over here. I would probably get the LT for here, just because I don't think you'd lose that much climbing capability, and you gain a little bit more for some of the trails. But for just sheer fun factor, it doesn't get too much better than this. It's a kind of a perfect bike for here. Whew. I have not rode this trail in about a year, and I've only rode it once. This is Mabel. It's a good one. Oh man, yeah, I've been getting this suspension dialed in, and I haven't had to touch it for a while now. I'm about almost right at my weight PSI for the rear tire, or the rear shock. And the fork, I just went actually pretty close to just what the fork leg says. But yeah, it's working really good. This bike, It is, there's not been many, there's not been many 120 millimeter trail bikes that impress me over and over again, and this is one of them for sure. It's it just makes you smile, and Pivot did an absolutely amazing job on this thing. I'm really curious how the LT rides, and if it rides like I think. I mean, this is the only negative I think I could say, I think, is that it might kind of take away from the switchblade. Alright, yeah, this bike is so fun to hop around on, and it is a blast. But anyway, so through chunkier stuff, it does above average for sure, like really, really well, like well above average. The rear end on this bike is maybe the best 120 millimeter rear end feel that I've ever rode, and the Tallboy has held that title, I guess, if you want, for me personally, for quite a while. And I think this one has overtaken it. It's quite the rear end on this bike, and what's even better is it feels super compliant and soft enough for chunkier stuff, but it also has some of the most support for a shorter travel bike, not XC bike, but shorter travel trail bike, than almost any of them for climbing. So it's truly like the best of both worlds. Sorry, guy was on the side of the trail to make sure it was all good, but you gotta give so many props to Pivot for doing such an amazing job on this bike. I mean, it is pretty dang spectacular. So we've got this rock roll right here, and it just does it so easy. Yeah, such a fun bike, man. Woo. Yeah, it's hard not to smile with this thing. All right, so now we've got a little bit of a higher speed section of SST. This is up at Galbraith in Washington and Bellingham, and it is so good. Man, this bike is, so I still have my Tallboy, and before coming, I was like, man, I need to ride the Trailcat up there just to get more of a thing. But I absolutely love my Tallboy, and let me just tell you, I am really glad that I brought this instead of the Tallboy, because I'm having more fun on this than I would have on the Tallboy, and that says a lot for me. All right, so this bike is not the lightest bike. It was, I think it was just over 30 pounds with my pedals and a pretty lightweight water bottle cage. But if it was lighter, it wouldn't be able to go through the rocks as good as it does, I bet. And I would say that, like, some bikes in this category, you can tell, like, they try to make really stiff to compensate for it being a lighter bike to, or not a lighter bike, a shorter travel bike, to make it more stable. And then some bikes just feel real kind of squishy, I guess. Like, not very stable. I think that Pivot did an outstanding job on getting the frame and all the layups and everything just right. Like, it doesn't feel like it's just completely rigid, and it doesn't feel too soft. It feels all really good. So wanted to talk about that because that makes a big difference. When you ride quite a bit of bikes, you notice the frames, and when you ride a good one, it's obvious. So very rad. And then also the lifetime warranty on the frame, that also helps. All right, so as I may have already stated, this bike is just so versatile. You can go from some rooty Washington conditions to just wide open Boise conditions, or a trail like this, also in Boise, but a little tighter. And it is just so good. And right here, it's just a little stand pedal section, but it has so much support in that DW link that it's just so rad. Yeah, this bike is very well thought out and put together. It does so well in all these flowy, can be jumpy also trails. So easy to move around in the air. Yeah, this is one of the best trail bikes out there. I can say that with confidence. All right, back on another little tight flowy trail, and let's talk about sizing. So this bike is a size medium. I am just over 5'8", and this thing fits me perfectly. And then let's talk about like length and all that. So the length on this bike feels just perfect. I mean, everything on this bike feels just about as perfect as you can get it. It's not too slack, it's not too steep of a head tube angle. I would say if it was a half a degree slacker head tube angle, that wouldn't be a bad thing, but they have the long travel version, and that is about that. And then I'm sure it would take away from something else also. So yeah, it feels great. The seat tube angle on climbing feels amazing. The reach is great for my size. Like, this bike was built for my size. It just feels like. All right, so let's talk about what I think is the best value build. It is the XT XTR build. It comes with a combination of XT and XTR drivetrain and brake components, a mixture of those. Mostly XT, but that's fine. XT is very similar performance, if not the exact same as XTR, just a little bit heavier, which not that big of a deal. And comes with almost all the same everything else. Comes with a nice suspension. It does come with aluminum wheels, but it comes with the DT 1700 series wheels, which are really good wheels. Those are like some of the best aluminum wheels you can get, in my opinion. It comes with a great dropper. It comes with all the good stuff. So that, in my opinion, for $74.99 is the best bang for your buck for this Trailcat SL. All right, let's talk about geometry. So real quick, we'll just start up front. 65.8 degree head tube angle. If you do go in the high position, it does jump up to 66.3, so it's a 0.5 degree difference. I think almost everyone's gonna ride low. There might be a few parts of the country that would ride high, and if you do, tell me down in the comments down below, just to let me know, because I want to know those places that would like a half degree steeper head tube angle, a little bit shorter of a wheelbase. And let's talk about wheelbase real quick. In the low, on a medium, it's 1207. And then on the reach, it's 465, which is pretty long. If you do go to that low, it is 470, so it's pretty a long reach for a size medium, but it doesn't feel like that when you're riding. I mean, It does feel longer than your standard, like my tall boy that I have. It does feel a little bit longer than that, but it feels really comfortable. Pivot has done a really good job of sizing their bikes correctly. Their extra small is super small, I'd say. And then every other bike is like 15 to 20 millimeters difference in reach or wheelbase and all that. So like a large is 480 compared to this 465. And I know a lot of people are going to be riding larges. And then same with the wheelbase. It's very competitive in that 15 to 20 millimeter range, which is really nice. I did used to work at a bike shop, and people would come in, they'd want a bike that it was the specific size, and they'd literally be right in the middle of what I could offer them out of the bikes that we had. So it's cool that Pivot is doing that once again, brings it right back to them, showing that they are riders and that they probably have a vast majority of all the sizes of riders, and that they build the bikes for them, because I mean, it's a proof. Like, what they're putting out is proof of that. So it's really cool that they just have a size for literally everybody. So one last thing, the chainstay length is 431 millimeters. They're able to shorten that up a lot, I think, because of the Super Boost rear end, which makes the bike so fun. Like, that is so rad that they're able to shorten that up. And maybe I'm completely wrong on that, but I feel like that's part of it. And whatever they've done, everything they've put together is pretty dang awesome. All right, so let's do the pros and cons. We're going to start with the cons first because it's really quick. Starting with the seat post. I know I talked about how nice it was, but the only thing is, I'm 5'8", just above 5'8". This is a pretty big size medium. So I'd say that another inch or two taller than me easily could ride this bike. And look how high up my seat post is. If you were another inch taller than me, that would be even higher. And that was one of the most annoying things for me on the entire bike. Actually, it was really the only annoying thing. Straight to the point. That is the only con of the entire bike. They just give you too short of a dropper post. Maybe Pivot will change that, but it's really tough, because then if a shorter rider has it, then they're screwed. Then they would have to buy one no matter what. So I get why they went with a 150 millimeter dropper, but for a size medium, even if you're 2 inches shorter than me, I think you're still going to have room. So that is my only con on the entire bike. Besides maybe price. Price is pretty high, but you get what you're paid for. And I think Pivot is one of the nicest quality bikes manufactured in the bike industry, period. There's only like one other brand that I think is on its same level, and that's it. So yeah, like, you know what you're getting when you're buying a Pivot, and you're gonna get great. That's what you're gonna get. So let's move over to the pros. Move away from that. One con, that is the only thing out of 300 miles of riding that I can figure out on this bike. But the pros, let's start here. So this is, there's a lot of pros, but I want to kind of condense it in this short little deal. I kept riding this bike on more difficult terrain, thinking that I was going to be underbiked. I literally went to Washington and rode trails that I wouldn't have rode on, like, my personal tall boy. And I was like, I just want to kind of push this bike. And it just kept taking it and taking it and taking it. And I was just like, okay, well, let's go to this trail. Let's go to this. Let's do this. And then everything you do on it is just, it's a blast. It jumps great. It corners amazing. When you're coming out of corners, some bikes just kind of slug around and come out okay. This one comes out of a corner, and if you pedal, it just gets on it and goes. The rear end of this bike, that DW link that they have, is amazing. And I hate to just be saying only good things about this bike. I only am complaining about an accessory of this bike, basically, and that can be changed easily. But it's pretty amazing what Pivot has done. And I really wish that I had the chance to ride the Trailcat LT, which is 135 millimeters of travel and 150 up front, instead of what this is, 120 and 140 up front. I think that this was the right bike for me to try because it made me realize like my favorite bike in this category, which I have built up as a 120, 140 millimeter trail bike, that it made me appreciate what Pivot has done. And they have probably made the best trail bike in that category, period, ever. I mean, I've rode the SB120. That is an amazing bike. The Santa Cruz Tallboy, that is an amazing bike. Well, and honestly, like there are other bikes, but those are kind of the higher end of the spectrum. This bike is just, I mean, it's better than those. So, yeah, it's pretty impressive what Pivot has done. Once again, thank you, Pivot, for sending me this bike. Um, I look forward to riding more Pivots in the future and giving you guys all reviews of everyone that I ride, because I think that what Pivot has changed in the last couple years will just translate to better and better bikes for the future, and I'm stoked to see it. So, conclusion on this bike probably is for you. I mean, honestly, like if you're watching this video, if you've gotten this long, I don't even know how long this video is, but I'm sure it's a long video. So thank you for getting to this point, first off. And second, yeah, this bike is really good. If you don't ride steep, gnarly stuff all the time, if you ride it very rarely, this bike will get you through it. And I bet you the LT version will get you, I know for sure it'll get you through it even better. And other than that, like for the majority of riders, this bike's gonna be one of the best bikes out there on the market, in my opinion, period. And yeah, we'll wrap it up with that. Once again, thank you so much, Pivot. And if you like this video, like and subscribe for more like this, and get out and ride.